Good morning, good morning. What am I brewing in my lab today? I was not planning to make a video in my little studio, art studio, creative studio, lab, call it what you want. I thought I'm going to show you what I did yesterday downstairs at my kitchen, but then I thought, no. As I was busy here sorting through my papers and things that I did yesterday, I thought I need to show you what happened yesterday. So it's so funny. Years back, my children, I was starting the YouTube channel and my children said, Dexter's Lab, that's the name. You know, Dexter's Laboratory, the little Dexter, whatever. They said, he's so crazy in his lab. Mom, it's like you in your life. You're doing all these crazy things, always busy with something. Your name should be Dexter's Lab. I'm EZ, so Dexter. Most people call me Dexter. And I thought that is actually a stupid name, but I couldn't think of anything else, so I named it my Dexter's Lab. And I mean, now, years later, I am actually growing into my name. I mean, I am loving my creations. I am loving the lab effect, loving the idea of trying new things and just go with the flow. This was not me a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, I was an acrylic paint artist. That's all that I did, creative-wise. And now look at me. And the joy that I am, call it, generating through my lab, through my experiments and trying new things and playing. It's just mind-blowing. I am loving my new creative journey. I am loving to learning new things, growing, expanding, trying, failing, but nothing is wrong. That's the awesome thing. When you create and you try new things and you experiment, nothing is wrong. Everything is just a stepping stone towards your creative growth, call it that. So I was watching once again, it was 7-8 o'clock last night, I'm not sure, and I was going through my YouTube and a video popped up randomly, you know how they go, and this time it was a man doing eco dyeing in a pot, boiling. They call it boiled books. Okay, so now instead of just taking random papers, you make your little book, the little book with its signatures beforehand, and then you dye them in your pot. Previously, I took randomly papers, different papers, all out of all my books, and watercolor paper as well, and art paper and whatever, and I mixed that, and that is what I dyed. But this man, he was doing the book thing. So once again, the excitement struck, and I just jumped up 8 o'clock at night, went into my garden, pluck leaves all over the place. I didn't care what it was because that man said you use anything. So I didn't use my eucalyptus leaves and those things that's got the tannins and the stuff. I just pluck everything. I came into my room, found this. This is paper that I bought months back at a charity shop. It's thick. It's really kind of thick. I have no idea what it is, but it is thicker than usual. So I've been using them a lot in my eco dye. So I decided, you know, I'm going to do the book thing. So I am just going to use that paper. So I tore one big sheet into little pages, and this is what I got. These pages. So this is already done, but I'll get there later. So I was just doing my little signatures, all in the same size and all in the same, using the same paper. Then I got my pot ready. I put some water in and 1 cup of vinegar. So it's water, boiling water, and 1 cup of vinegar, and I must confess I threw in about a tablespoon of alum. I still need to figure out how to say that. ALUIM, something like that. They use it in swimming pools. And I threw that in, and that was, as that was warming up, I was quickly doing my bundles. So, sorry, I'm not going to show you how to make a bundle with flower leaves and things. Eco dye, we've done it. I've done it so many times. But what you actually do is, now you've got your little paper like this. So you just start at the back. You put some leaves down, you close it. You put some leaf down, you close it. You know, until your little signature is filled with flowers. This is another one. I did the same. So they were nice and thick, filled with flowers. Leaves, different type of leaves that you just added in. I will link the man's video below. I hope I'm going to find, yes, I'll find it. I'll link it below. You got to go and look at that. It was fantastic. But the thing that he did that really was different from all my other things, he used dye. You know, real dye. Now, he used a blue dye, and how his things came out was just magnificent. So immediately I came into my studio, got some blue acrylic paint because I don't have blue dye. Needless to say, acrylic paint does not work in boiling water. When I threw my paint in, it just became little pieces of plastic. So that did not work. So then I thought, okay, let me go and look and get some stamp pad ink. I do have my acrylics inks, but I don't want to use them, you know, just waste them. So I thought, let me go for the stamp pad ink. I've got lots of that. Bought that at a charity shop once, a whole little box full. So I've got a purple, a red, and green, but mostly this color. So I thought, I'm just going to throw this in. So my bundles were in. Now let me tell you. So the man used some tiles. Wonderful. You put now your thing in between 2 tiles, and then he actually used clamps to clamp them, but not too tight, it said. And then I saw another woman. That was interesting this morning. You see, if you watch one video, the same ones popped up. She used these things. And she used pieces of wood with these things. So I thought, what a wonderful idea, because I didn't want to go and ask husband if I can use his clamps. I don't know why. I'm sure he would have said yes. But so I got my 2 tiles out. I used this tiles, and I did some previously, a long time back, my alcohol inks. I made beautiful tiles using alcohol inks. So I still got tiles left. But now I ran into a little problem. My pot is not big enough for the tile to go in like this, but it can go in like this. And then I decided, you know what, I want them all covered with the water and things. I'm not going to fill my thing up to the brim. So I made my little bundles, used my ropes, pieces of cloth, and tied it up. So what I actually also did, you know, this bed, I got this bed. I think it was this one. And I used this in my tea dye. These are all my dyed papers that I actually want to show you. But I used that one in one of these tea dyed, absolute gorgeous papers. I mean, this, if you look at this, is just, oh, I'm in love with this. So I used that in there. Now I forgot, oh, this paper. And then I thought it worked so well, I cannot believe it. So I'm gonna make a little bundle out of this paper. And this is what happened. It is not good enough. It came out like this. This is still a little bit damp. But once again, I love this. I'm going to use it in my journals and places. So once again, it's not wasted. I've learned something. I am also sure that if I did this between my tiles, it would have worked. But it wasn't. And it wasn't very thick as well. So when I put the ropes around it, it really kind of pushed them in, and that's my problem. And then when I tried to open it up, it just deteriorated. And there's also very little of my dye or anything. You can't really see anything. So that was the first. This experiment was very, very funny. Now the awesome thing is, these are the papers that came out after I did this process. So my pot was boiling. I added my 1 cup of vinegar in. I added my alum powder in, aluminum whatever powder. It was boiling, so I put my 2 bundles in. Then I tried the acrylic paint. As I said, that just made little plastic pieces. Then I threw quite a lot of that ink in. And the funniest thing ever, when I took that out, then I let it boil for 1.5 hours. So this time I didn't use any rust, didn't use any tea. That was all. Only the paint, the acrylic, the stamp ink. But look at this. This is what happened with the whole process, with the pieces of cloth that I taught to bind my bundles with. Look how beautiful they came out. So funny. And my paper looks like this. So this, when you really look at it closely, it's not bad. It is actually quite beautiful, not like the man's that I watched. His was absolutely gorgeous, but as I said, he used real dye that you dye clothes and things with. So I actually found a dye here, but it is brown. So I thought, do I really want to go for brown? No, I wanted to go for blue because his blue was so beautiful. So my blue became a kind of purplish thing, and what I got out of it was a very nice, very beautiful pieces of cloth. So I don't know. That's what I said. I was thinking, will I now go and eco dye some cloth, trying it that way by using the ink with the cloth. Why not? I think that's what I'm going to do when I'm done here. But this is my papers. So once again, it's not the 300 grams paper that you're supposed to use, the watercolor paper that's like most probably close like, you know, like that. Because I read somewhere it's got a lot of cotton in, you know, or yeah. So mine came out like this, and let me tell you, I am looking at this one, that is actually not bad. And I don't know if I'm gonna make a book out of this or if I'm just gonna use them randomly. Mostly I think I will just randomly use them in my journals. What I've learned through this was, when I put my flowers and leaves, mostly leaves in, I did it very thick. I had pieces of lavender, you know, just not little thin ones, just bunches of lavender and bunches of that, and there you can see some marks. And that was what made these big white pieces, because they lifted the paper up because they were too thick. So, as I said, it's a lab. Our life is a lab. We are learning. Look, that one. There you can see my geranium leaf. Husband loves this. He actually says this to him is very beautiful. Because look, if you have a white journal, a journal with white pages, and you add this in, this is going to be very, very beautiful. So I am not discouraged with this. I must admit I do love these crazy dark ones more. I really, really love them. And that is why I actually decided I want to talk about this here in my little room and not while I'm doing another batch. So what I'm finding out, as I say, what I love, what I don't love. Look at this one. Just look at that little leaf there in the middle. But look at that. Isn't it just gorgeous? So the man that I watched, his came out absolutely beautiful. The link is below. And lots of the plants and the leaves, and you could see all the marks. Gorgeous. So I think I am going to try it again with my dye. Perhaps I'm going to use then this dye, and if that really, really works nicely, I can go and buy a blue or what other color. On the other side, I'm also thinking, you know, I love the natural way. I don't know why. That is also, when I started painting years back with my acrylic paints, I thought I'm going to go very abstract. I'm going to throw paint and play, and it's going to be very abstract. Guess what? I could not do it. I still cannot really do it. That's why I love this. It's abstract, but there's leaves there. I can see the leaves. I love the prints of leaves or things. So guess what? My route in acrylic painting did not go the way I thought. I love to, when I paint a horse, it must kind of look like a horse. It doesn't have to be photo-like, not at all. And a flower must look like a flower, you know. So once again, this is what I am now learning about me with this eco dye process. It's just so interesting what I am learning about myself. And that is the awesome thing about life as well. When you are placed in a situation, what manifests through you, that's the thing. We look at others. Oh, it's that one's fault that I am boiling, and that one, I'm thinking about the story with the coffee. You stand with a cup and someone pushes you, and what spills out? It's not about the one pushing you, it's about the coffee that's spilling out. If there was tea in your cup, it would have been tea spilling out. If it was water in your cup, it would have been water. But we focus so much on the person and the situation and the country and the government and the whatever that is pushing you, that you forget to look at what pours out of you. That is the whole issue. You are in this realm to learn, to grow, to heal, to discover who you really are. And everything that pushes us is there to show us what's in our hearts, Now, that's life. So if anger, resentment, fear pops up, that's what's in your cup. That is what you need to deal with, not the person or the situation pushing you. So the same with my creative journey. I had these preconceived ideas of what I'm going to like, what I'm not going to like, and guess what? It's not true. I like totally different things. In my acrylic painting, as I said, I loved color. I could only do lots of color. You can see in my house, all my paintings, it's bright, it's red, it's orange, yellow, very bright. So I have no idea why I am now with my books and my gratitude journals, why I am going the earthy route. I mean, as I said, if you look at my paintings, it's totally the opposite. But now when I make my books and my journals, I'm busy with this one. This is my large one. I'm going very slowly with this because I actually enjoy doing my little ones more. So you can see, even though there's color, but it is not crazy color. Look at my jelly plate prints. It's all more earthy. That one now goes a little bit wild. Not wild, but I mean, so this is absolutely mind-blowing to me, because this is really not what I thought I'm gonna like and I'm gonna go for. So this was very, very funny. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. If I tear them a little bit smaller, then I can, really use them as well. So I'm not sure if I'm really going to go for the dye, the real dye, instead of the tea and the coffee and the rust, so that is very interesting. Now I'm looking there and I'm still trying. Believe you me, when 4, 5, 6 weeks back, 2 months, I don't know, I did these coffee and watercolors. This this is just one of my favorites. I'm still trying to dry it so it's standing upright in my window, and you can see the coffee is still running, melting and then running down. I think I used too much coffee, so I'm still trying to get them dry. But this is what I love. I love the coffee and the watercolors and what's the difference between watercolor actually and so once again, there's not really a difference. That's also pigments and color, and so yes. But it's so interesting when you start to play what makes you come alive. Now this is also, after I did this, I used the leaves, the eucalyptus leaves, that I used in the pot, I then used them to make little cards. There's just a little card. I sewed it onto a piece of paper that I made, and then on a piece of cloth, so a little card. So I used the earthy black rust leaf. Love it. But I also, this came out, the tea bags, very black. Really, I think I threw in too much or a lot of rust, rusty objects. I threw in big pieces of rust. And look at this beautiful black. So now, this morning I was standing outside drinking my cup of coffee, and I was just opening them up. They now dry, shaked out the tea, and now I'm gonna use them in my journals with this. Look at this little one. This is one of the papers that came out of my tea dye and rust, but look how beautiful. I don't want to take that out. I love, love, love that. So once again, what I am really, really learning and trying to get over, tell people and try new things. It is life changing. It's gonna rock your boat in a beautiful way. Because all of a sudden you're gonna find out what you thought you like isn't really what you like. What you enjoy doing is totally different than what you were thinking. And that's how we learn and mostly unlearn the patterns and the indoctrination and the boxes that we were placed in this realm. So I am, as I said once again, loving my journey. So this is also what I did with it when I took that bundles out. There was some tea and rust water, very dirty, left over. So I thought, what am I going to do there? So I came and I made little bundles and I threw them in. I even took some lint, you know. They don't really do well because they are not pure cotton or linen. This is, I don't know the English word at this stage, lint. And because they're not pure, they don't really dye well. But I don't care, just to get them a little bit less shiny. Once again, why I have absolutely no idea why I want my things less shiny and more earthy in my books. But I'm going with it. That's what I said. Even this was a challenge because it's not earthy enough for me at this stage. So who knows? Who knows? Life is an adventure. We got to try new things. We got to keep growing, expanding, learning. But once again, we got to learn what is in our cup, in our hearts, and what makes us come alive and glad to be alive, you know? Well, love you lots. I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do after this, but I just wanted to share. And you can see my box filled with my coffee dyed papers. This was interesting. I think this was my first eco dye paper. And that is how that came out. It was the same paper that I used. I also I don't think I did rust in here. I think I don't know. But this was my first. And now look at these. And I am loving it. So there are all my, this is my coffee dyed one with the watercolors. These are just ordinary tea dyed papers. There's another one of my first eco dyed. I must have I threw some, this is tea dye, and I threw some turmeric between the pages as well. That's why they're so nice. And this was the ones I did with the sand on the farm and the watercolor. Remember, the sand still sticking there. So my pile of eco-dyed and hand-dyed papers are growing. And now these are going in as well. And as I said, put this in a little book. Not bad. But I think, oh, that is what I wonder. You know, I thought, why did all the color go into the cloth and not in the paper? It must be something about the paper, because some of this, especially these ones, I mean, some of that was actually on the outside, you know, and still it didn't go this color. So I don't know, I'm learning, I'm playing. And that's what I said, just look, I'm just looking, and then I'm just in awe actually, because you really do see the plants, you do see the leaf prints, and isn't it gorgeous? This to me, this makes me excited, because it's not that I sat with a little paintbrush or palette knife and I painted this. I just put some leaves on a piece of paper and it printed themselves. Isn't that magical? This makes me come alive. And as I said, I have no idea where this is going to. I'm just enjoying my life now. Process. All I can do is enjoy the journey of life. It's step by step, day by day. The only power I have is to enjoy and do in this moment, this day, what brings the joy and peace out of me. That's all that I can do. And husband asked me, so what are you going to do today? I said, I'm going to make a video about this and tell all my findings and whatnot. I said, and then I'm going to make food, and I'm going to make the dogs happy and you happy and myself happy. And when I said that, I said, and that is actually a full-time job, making myself happy, being at ease with where I am, where I find myself, what I do, to be at ease. It's a full-time job and it's my responsibility. As I said yesterday, I felt a little bit uneasy when I made the previous video, and I just came into my room and I just sat between the things that makes me happy and peaceful, and I just started to create spontaneously, and after a while, voila, my peace was back. My unease gone, my peace were back. And the same last night when I was starting, I think 8 o'clock, so it must have been nearly 10 o'clock when I was taking this out and unveiling them. And another thing I've learned that I didn't know about this eco-dyeing, the man took his things out, still hot, then he put them under a tap and let the cold water run, and he washed them. I never did that. I cannot tell you how dirty these is. My hands are black when I'm done working with them. So that's something more, and that is what I did with this. I took them out, threw some cold water on, and then took this off very, very slowly and nicely, so not to break them. And then I washed each page, and I got all the pieces of leaves off, and it was very clean, and I put it on the floor. I had a piece of cloth there, and I put mine out there, and it dried during the night. It was all very clean. So that is what I've learned. After eco dyeing, you can wash your pages like I usually do with my cloth. I do that. When I take them out, I just wash them in cold water to get all the rusty bits and things off. But I never thought you can do it with this. Well, as I said, I'm learning every day something new. And the awesome thing is, then I can take what I've learned and use it into in my next process, in my next step, or not. If I've learned something that I don't like, I don't know if I like this actually or not, but I will use it. It's going to be beautiful when I use it in my stuff. But then I know, okay, like with this is not a good idea to use these papers, you know? So then you don't go with that, because I didn't know beforehand. Now I know, so now I can make a decision based on what I now know. That's why we judge ourselves, others, because why did they do it? Why did they do that? They didn't know. At that stage, they were just experimenting. They just doing, as I said, in life. Now afterwards you learn, and then sometimes you still do that thing again. You know, it's a process. Life is just a journey. It's a process of discovery, learning, unlearning. It's actually so wonderful when we start to realize that. Stop the condemnation, stop the judgment, and just start to enjoy the journey and this step that you are on right now. Find the things that you can be grateful for. And if you are in a cook pot, a very, very hot place, find out what's spilling out of you and deal with that. That is the reason why you're in that pot, to show you what's in your heart. And if it's not unconditional love, peace and joy, then that needs to be dealt with and surrender. Love you lots. Is it from Zetstel's Lab. Get up and go and do something that makes you come alive. Makes the joy and the peace and the love start to move and flow out of you. Even if it's a cup of tea. Love you lots.